The three pillars of skepticism. Now, before we get into that, uh, we have some other business to discuss. And one, the most primary one, most important one, is we have a new subscriber. And, for uh, confidentiality's sake, unless they want to give themselves their name, we keep that confidential and we thank them. Okay? Now, before we get into our session today, there's a few points of business that I want to discuss. Two quick ones, and that is, if you watched the debates last night, uh, you will hear, you could not only hear, you could compare and contrast the two debate, the two town hall, they weren't debates, excuse me, strike that. They were the two town hall meetings between the two presidential candidates. Uh, the puppet, if you've been a subscriber, you know that's the word I use for Trump. Uh, he used words that we in the hood call sucker moves or sucker play, and it's words that you use when you talk to your kids. Hey, that's super, that's wonderful. You know what I mean? It's going to be grand. These grandiose words, that's for a child's mind. Okay, he's trying to sell you a bill of goods that ain't really there. When I use it for my kids, I use it to boost their morale, boost their self-confidence. You don't need to use that on adults if you're talking to them as equals. If you're talking to an adult that you figure is beneath your level of knowledge, then you use grandiose words. Oh, we're gonna have a great. This is going to be super. We're going to have a better healthcare plan. Not better. We're going to have an amazing, fantastic. It's going to be overwhelming. These kind of things. So just so you know. Two, so we don't need to go any further about the town hall meetings. Next point. The knowledge that you're gaining on our channel, and I say "are" because this is a culmination of all the knowledge of everything that the people that watch this knows that we have gathered. All the knowledge that I have, it's priceless. Okay, and you're not getting it from some Joe Schmo who just happens to have a good idea at the particular time. Okay, you want to check off some boxes when it comes to our channel, Bertrand X. Was I a hoodlum on the street? Check. Did I serve time in prison? Check. Have I gotten higher? Have I engaged in higher learning? Check. Okay. So you're not talking to somebody, and is my knowledge updated? Do I continue to update my knowledge? Check. Okay. So you're not talking to somebody who's a will-o'-the-wisp, or somebody who is just, you know what I mean, checking in on you and, trying to, get some attention. You're talking to somebody who's trying to not only help you, but help you further your knowledge of the most important thing. And we always go back to it. And what's the most important way to engage a person? What's the most important way to gain understanding of self? It's to build up, bam, right here. Okay? And that's the king and queen. You know what I mean? The sage, the president, it's all right here. And when you strengthen this, nothing takes you by surprise. Nothing becomes new under the sun. Okay? So now let's get right to it. When you're talking about being skeptical, skepticism is not suspicion. Okay? Suspicion can bring rise to, conspiracy theories and superstition, hocus pocus, things that just aren't real, just aren't reasonable, just aren't quantifiable. These three pillars of skepticism will help you to think on a more consistent basis, on a basis that will help you keep someone from feeding your mind a bunch of bull. From feeding your mind telling you what to think and how to think. And these pillars are the staples of how you should approach your life. And you can use these straight across the board. You know what I mean? On every facet of your life. You can use these pillars to build a better state of mind. Now, let's start with the first one. Quantifiable. If you look on TV and you hear them say 9 out of 10, 10 out of, and so many out of, they're using a quantifiable science theory. Strike that, a quantifiable framework to what they've done. It's 9 out of 10 people do this, and 8 out of 10, okay. So, how can you use that in your everyday life? Well, if you think to yourself 9 times out of 10, or mostly, and you can, and just to let you know, quantifiably, you can quantify spirituality. Yeah, you can put a number to that. A lot of people don't like you to believe that, but it's true. You could put a number to that. I can say to you, if I think peaceful, quiet, serene thoughts, if I think that way most of the time, guess what kind of person I'm going to be? That's the number. Quantifiably, if you think that way most of the time, that's the way that you will be. You'll be a peaceful, serene person. If you think angry and mad and tough and quantifiably, that's what kind of person you are mostly going to be. Okay? If you're thinking even thoughts, I can think evenly, checking out those statistics and understanding that person's point of view and thus and so. If I'm analytical, if I think like that most of the time, I can put a number to that. See, that's what quantifiable. If a girl in your life, you're sitting there talking to her, somebody you're meeting on the street, she always talking about, oh, that nigga ain't this and he ain't that and da-da-da-da and whatever and other. You could be sure that if she's thinking like that, if she's talking to you like that, and her conversation is mostly based on that, then you could be sure that if you get in a relationship with that girl, that she's going to be talking about men and that she don't have a high regard for men. So, if you don't want a girl like that, my advice is to run away from that. See, because you're thinking now, you're listening to her on a quantifiable level. Okay? You could use it all across the board in your life. Now, is it repeatable? Now, what does this word conjure up? Well, you say, well, what do you mean? How can it be repeatable? If you're doing something, okay, and you're having success with that, you do it over and over again. Say, for instance, you do push-ups every day, and you get stronger. It's repeatable. Yeah, I can repeat that. If my son is, if he watches, knowledgeable things on YouTube, then I can assume that he's repeating that over and over again. If you do it over and over again, then it's repeatable. These are the outcomes of it, okay? And this is all on a scientific level. Okay? So it's repeatable. So if I do this certain thing and try to get these kind of voters and these kind of things, and it's worked in the past, in law they just call it precedent instead of precedent, and they call it, you use it, they've used it over and over, and it's held up to precedent, then it's repeatable. Okay? If you keep finding a woman, or if you keep finding the same kind of friends that are all, that steal over and over again, and they steal a certain thing, and they do it this way, and it's repeatable, they have success. That's repeatable. Okay? Of course, now you have to deal with the fact that you might get arrested for stealing things. Okay? But practically, that's what it is. It's repeatable. You've done it over and over again. You've had success with that. Of course, with that comes consequences, right? We know that things have consequences. Okay. So now, and then lastly, let's put a star on this. Okay. Is it reasonable? Okay. Is it reasonable for you to keep stealing over and over again? Because in the long run, you're going to get caught. Or you could get shot. Or you get, you know what I mean? All these negative things. Is it reasonable to do that? Is it reasonable for you to have a negative state of mind if you're running for office? Say, for instance, you're a president. Is it reasonable for you to repeatedly tell people that things are a hoax? Okay? That things, you know what I mean? That we're not wearing a mask is, iffy at best. Is it reasonable for you to do that when there's 200,000 people died? When 200,000 people have died? Is that reasonable? You see? So that's why I have this, that's why I'd say people, if you're not using your mind in a scientific way, in an organized way, in a succinct way, then anybody could feed you anything. They could tell you anything and you believe it. The conspiracy theorists don't rely on this model. They rely on explosions and, you know what I mean, on your fears. They rely on your fears. They rely on your inability to reason it out. If you cannot reason it out, a conspiracy theorist, you're ripe for the picking. I got him. Same thing in any cult. Same thing in any church. Okay? Anything across the board. If they know that you're not thinking and you're not using your ability to reason, you sitting up in that church and somebody's telling you, that life will be good in the hereafter, and, you don't have to do anything, that's not reasonable. Look over the years. It has not been repeatable. People are still dying of hunger. The minority are still not getting a fair shake. And how do I know? Because quantifiably, the people who are the minorities, when things go south, like a pandemic, black and brown people suffer first, and they suffer the most. And they show that in the numbers. Go on your TV and watch it. They'll tell you. So that doesn't follow our scientific model. Is it reasonable for you to go ask for help from a white man that's shooting you, that's got his knee on your neck? How's that going? How's that worked out for you over the years? Oh, it happened in the past. It's still happening now. It don't hold muster. It's not quantifiably. Yes, I can rely on him not to do the right thing because he's done it several times over. And it's not reasonable for me to ask for his help. I have to do it myself. We have to do it ourselves. Thank you once again for my new subscriber. I am going to be going over a baller's guide as well. It's going to be a brief one because I don't want nobody to get. But yeah, if you're out there and you're doing that kind of thing, I'm going to help you. Because if you're having sex, you better wear a Jimmy hat. So if you're out there balling, you better have a plan. So we're going to talk about that next time. That's going to be in the BMG sessions. And thank you so much, like I said, for my new subscriber. And I'll talk to you